that's there. That's new. Looks like they're getting ready for an exhibition. I'm not sure who or when, or, well, I guess I know a little bit about what. It's that stuff there. That's cool, though. Looks a little steampunky. On that note, I don't know why I said that. This has nothing to do with steampunk. But, I don't know if we've talked about these yet this summer. But they've changed my life. I'm never going to wear socks again if I can help it. I hated sandals as a kid because they just like hurt and give me blisters and junk, and they're crappy sandals, I guess. And then I never wore sandals as an adult ever. I was like, no, that's for suckers, and just, yeah, never wore sandals. And then in winter, I sometimes wear slippers, like, obviously not at work and stuff, but like, oh, I need to go grocery shopping, I'm just going to throw on my slippers and leave. I don't think that's like, that by itself, just the slippers, I'm like, that's not a total scrub move, is it? But they're really comfortable and I like it, and I'm an old man, so leave me alone. But then this summer, I had like two people like suggest, like, you should probably get some flip-flops. And then my friend had a discount at like a limited time discount thing. And then I went in there and I was like, oh, they got these like sliders, these slides, and they're Vans, and all my shoes are Vans. So, not all, but almost all. All my regular sneakers are Vans. And then like other type of specialty shoes are different. But anyway, yeah, I am enjoying them, and it's hot, and so therefore I feel justified in wearing them, and they're comfortable, and I don't have to put socks on. So, welcome to this new me. I don't know why that's a new me. But anyway, I didn't really talk about the last portrait I did. So I don't have it here. It's downstairs in the basement. I don't really want to talk about it now either. But I'm doing two portraits. This one's going to be a self-portrait. And they're kind of based off of songs, and just felt like it'd be something to do. So, yeah, portrait that I completed just a couple days ago. I think that is the first thing I've created in like 5 weeks. Like, first finished piece I've done in 5 weeks. That's the longest I've gone in I don't know how long of like finishing a piece. Like 5 weeks is a long time. Anyway, I'm just gonna hang out. That's what I'm gonna do. Getting back into a routine, finally. I think about a week or a week and a half ago, I started to get back into a routine as well, and it felt really nice. But then I got out of it. So hopefully I keep this up. I need to start preparing to get up early again, waking up at like 6 in the morning. Thus going to bed by like 10ish. But I have not been doing that. But I need to get myself back on track for that. So anyway, it was raining. It's rainy. So no bike ride today. Hopefully tomorrow. It was really windy the past 2 days before that, so I haven't gone for a ride in 3 days, which is okay. As long as I can go tomorrow, I won't feel like it's been too long. Yeah, I actually got to bed before 2 last night, so that's a plus. And I got out of the house and ate lunch here, which is the first time that's happened in a long time. I also, unfortunately, because it's only like plus 11, am wearing socks. And I had to use the heater in the car a little bit. And there was something else because of the cold that I did differently today, and I don't remember what. Anyway, so this... Oh, I should get the picture. I should get you the reference photo. So this is going to be a self-portrait, but right now it just... I don't know if it'll change, because I've talked about this before, about like fixing in the mix, or like trying to fix a drawing when I paint it, and it's not really a good strategy. But this looks like Superbad era Jonah Hill. That's what that looks like. But it's really supposed to be this. And that's a picture that Jordan took of me. He needed a model for his photography class, and he needed like different emotions and stuff, so he got me to do a frown, a big old frown. And yeah, so that's that. I I have some fun ideas of how to play with that portrait, and you know what? If it doesn't end up looking like me, it's not a big deal. I'm really happy that the last portrait I did was pretty similar and looked like the subject. I was happy with that. I want to keep pushing portraits and doing different things, and like I felt like that one was doing like more of a traditional portrait that I had done before, and I hadn't really played with it too much. Like I hadn't done a portrait in a couple months, and the last time I did 2 portraits, I really experimented and did something new, which is painting them with palette knives, and it kind of fell a little flat. So I was kind of like, I'm not great with portraits to begin with. Let's just start out with, let's just do a portrait the way you used to do them. And now I feel like I'm going to start this one off that way, the way I used to, but I'm going to experiment with some stuff along the way, and I'm excited about it. Except I don't want it to look like Jonah Hill in the Superbad days. I would like it to look like me with a shaved face. This is probably like one of the last times I ever shaved down to stubble. Yeah, 2015, 6 years ago. Anyway, I thought I had more to say. I thought there was something else to say. I don't know. I feel pretty okay right now, so that's nice. It's weird, though. I'm, like, feeling a lot of feelings, and a lot of things are, like, just coming up and, like, letting go. So I was trying to explain this to my friend, like, I don't remember, a couple of days ago, that, like, one, I've been, like, distracting myself a lot from feeling my feelings, but the feelings were so overwhelming that I was feeling them anyway. Therefore, I had this cycle of like, I'm feeling them anyway. I'm feeling them all the time, and they're really bad, and they're not good, and it sucks. So I need to distract myself a lot. But then we've talked about this before: sitting in sadness and distracting from feelings, and I should just let them happen. Anyway, so yeah, I'm finding that a lot of memories and like things that trigger emotional responses are happening way more frequently now, but it's only because before I'd be sitting in a moment for like way too long. Like, I just think it's happening more often because it's more fleeting. Like, it comes and it goes, and it comes and it goes, and it comes and it goes, whereas beforehand I would just be like in a dark cloud for like half the day or the whole day, and it wasn't like different little trigger points that happened, like. Whereas now I'm like sometimes like just there's so many things that, man, like I wrote a line a long time ago, memory is a tactless device, and it's just like, man, that emotional memory thing that I talked about in a conversation a couple weeks back is just like so real with me that it was like, man, like I just, like it just sucks, and I am just like there's little things, like little innocent things, whether it be riding my bike in a certain area or walking by a certain area or a book or whatever, and it's just like makes me think of things and people and relationships and whatever, and I'm still going through that. So I feel pretty good right now. I don't know, that could change, but I think having less distraction and just learning how, I don't know, I'm trying to like again work on getting my sleeping routine back and being productive and not being as what's the word I was going to use, lethargic, like pushing myself to do stuff, like that's really helping, I think, and it's helping very quickly. So I'm hoping that I won't get stuck in another rut. If I can just keep doing this, that would be great. But anyway, yeah, that's a little update on my emotional life because I think I've avoided that the past couple weeks. And that's it. So this fan is disgusting, and I thought that maybe I could like use the the old compressed air to clean this up. And then I realized, wait a second, I think I can just take this off, like this cover, and clean it, because it's gnarly, dude. So I might do that. First things first, take a look at this fan. Pop that lid off. I should have done like a before and after picture, but yeah, pop the lid off, or the cover, not the lid. Cleaned all that up. This isn't as clean. It's the back, and I just didn't clean it as much. Some of it was pretty hard to get in these little spaces here. I used a couple different tools and whatever. Anyway, I don't know why that makes me really happy, but I'm like, oh, look how white it is and clean and not full of gross spray paint dust. And speaking about mental health, man, I don't know how many times I can listen to the same song over and over and over and over again, because usually I listen to like an album or a couple albums or whatever. when I do a painting for like mood, but this and that other portrait was just like one song for this, one song for the other one. I played around with this a little bit after with like these kind of, I don't know what to call them. I use like a paint scraper, where they're like palette knifey strokes. So I'm a lot happier with that than I was a minute ago. But man, this still really looks like Superbad era Jonah Hill. I think it looks like that more than it looks like me in that photo. But yeah. Anyway, I think I'm done with it. I'm pretty okay with where it's at. I don't know if I'm like super jazzed, but I'm like happy enough. And I don't know. I think I might make this hair more solid here. That's about it. I think that's all I'm gonna do. I'm not like looking and checking and rechecking the accuracy of the photo reference to this like I was with the other piece, because like this is just a different piece and I don't want to do that because I'm not going for the same kind of accuracy here. There's a lot of things I like about it for sure. So yeah, the more I look at it now, the happier I am. Whereas before, the more I looked at it, I was like, this thing sucks and this thing sucks. But again, I'm not going for the same type of accuracy. So now when I'm looking at it, there's things that I'm seeing that have nothing to do with like how realistic it is to the reference that are making me happy. Like other things are making me happy. So anyway, I think I'm just gonna make that more solid, and that's about it. Let's have a little chat, shall we? So this is going to end off the vlog. And what should I say things first? Things. Okay, so some riding in this vlog, not a lot else. Tomorrow I'm going to be painting a food truck, so I'll have some footage of that. Not a lot. It's been a bit of a challenge even before getting there. There's been a lot of changes, a lot of things
a lot of struggle to get to the point of actually painting. Actually, the paint's not even here yet. Like, there's just a lot going on with it. But it's going to be a challenge. At first, it was a welcome challenge, and now I'm kind of like, it'll push me, and I hope to make the best of it and learn from it, and hopefully walk away with some great stuff. Learning experiences, more experiences, building my skill, whatever. So I got to go out of town to do that. So I'm going to do that tomorrow. So look for that. Look out for that next week. And I thought I had something else to say, but I don't know. I usually say this stuff at the very end, but I'm saying it now. So other videos this week. I mean, I had one. I think it's just one ride that I put up, which is of Stout. I didn't have a chest cam video of Stout, and I rode that 2 days in a row, and I recorded the second one with the chest cam, and it was a good ride. Cleaned it nice and really enjoyed the flow, and so that's up there. It's a little bit of a spicy trail. Like that, I like it's a gooder. There's some highlights of that in the vlog here as well, but the conversation that I had this week was about not romanticizing mental illness, and that kind of started from a Charles Bukowski quote that was like out of context. This quote, what was it now? She's mad, but she's magic. There's no lie in her fire. And I kind of deconstruct that quote and kind of like compare it to like the Marilyn Monroe like thing of like, if you can't handle me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best. So at the end of that conversation, there's a link to that old video talking about the Marilyn Monroe thing. So anyway, that is stuff that I talk about at the end of videos. Just telling you what other videos there are, and maybe some stuff to look out for. And normally then I say that's it for the vlog. However, I'm going to end off with this. So, one of the things that I really, 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 really dislike is being censored, or having someone control over my expression, what I can say, what I can't say, what I can do, what I can't do, whatever. I don't feel like there's a ton of things I just really want to say that you're just not allowed to say. Like, it doesn't frustrate me that much, because generally things I want to say aren't overstepping the line of like common decency and boundaries or whatever. Like, I feel like there's a potential for me to be misunderstood sometimes, which is why I go into so much detail and get so thorough and add qualifiers to everything, because I don't want to be misunderstood. But with like one-way communication, like this or whatever, like, there's not a lot of back and forth and dialogue. Like, there's opportunities for people to ask me questions, they just rarely do. And a lot of people will just try and figure out what you're saying, or they assume that they know what you're saying, and they don't know what they don't know as well. But anyway, trying to censor my expression is one of the things that I just absolutely, I don't know what word to use. I really dislike it. It pains my soul. I don't like it. Like, I can adjust my expressions myself. Like, me controlling what I say, how I say it, where I say it, when I say it, like all those things. There's a time and a place for certain types of expression. And one of the things that I was having a conversation about this week with somebody was that, like, there's been people okay, so where do I start this? Over the past couple years, but especially the past year, the way that I express myself has taken a shift. And that's what I want to talk about right now. So, I think that this will also go into like a behind the curtain video, which I hate kind of doing, like, whatever, it doesn't matter. Anyway, the way that I've expressed things has really shifted. And some people have commented on how they like how transparent I have been, and they feel a connection. Like, I've had more people reach out to me in this past year on social media, people that I've never met in person, reach out to me over social media saying that they really appreciate the stuff that I'm saying, and they feel like they're less alone because of it, and they connect with what I'm saying. And obviously it's not everything that I say, but the other part is, like, I want to be transparent, and part of that transparency is obviously, like, I still omit things. I still only say what I'm willing to say. Like, you don't know absolutely everything. Like, that's one of those things with social media is that without social media, when you have friends or whatever and you go to their place and blah, 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 and like, maybe like friends of yours that are in a romantic relationship, like, they still only show you what they want to show you. Like, they might not fight in public ever, or they might not fight in front of people ever, but maybe, you know, the door closes and they're alone and it's fighting 80% of the time. Like, you don't know, right? Like, you may not know what the reality of the situation is. So then with social media, it becomes so much worse, right? Because you can curate, like, really skillfully edit your life and curate what you want to post, when, and why. So this is one of those things that I want to be a better person. And for me to be more accountable to myself and to others around me, I want to talk about my faults. I want to talk about my shortcomings. I want to talk about my challenges. That is still only goes so far, which is part of the reason I'm talking about it now. It's not perfect. Like, there's obviously things that I might be embarrassed about that I don't want to discuss. There's going to be real shit that, like, man, like, how can I bring that up? When can I bring that up? Like, because part of it is, I'll get to that. Frick. Like, I'm not going to say every single thing. Like, I do have faults, but I don't tell you every single mistake that I make in my life, right? Like, I acknowledge the fact that I'm imperfect, I'm human, I'm fallible, I want to do better, and I strive to do better. And that's not just talk. Like, I'm trying to mean what I say and say what I mean and walk the talk. I'm trying. It doesn't mean that I don't fail at that. I obviously do. It happens. And I've seen a lot of growth in some areas of my life, and in other areas of my life, man, the growth is, like, so slow, or I just haven't been able to get there yet. And in some parts, I have regressed. In some regards, there are things that I'm finding that I'm being drawn back to. I'm aware of it, so it's easier to stay away from it, but I'm feeling a pull towards, like, some negative coping mechanisms. To be frank, let's be real, like, alcohol is one of them. Very recently, I feel like a pull to go back to. It was something that I struggled with. I mean, I guess I'll link that at the end of this vlog. It's like story time, my history with alcohol. But really quickly, I didn't drink until I was like 19. There was like a year and a half of my life where I really struggled with alcohol. In that year and a half-ish, I realized that I started to use it as a negative coping mechanism, and then I stopped. I just stopped drinking. That was it. I made the decision. I didn't have a drop of alcohol for like 11 years, and so maybe it's been about four years-ish, and I started to experiment with alcohol again very slowly. And I got to a point where I was like, I haven't legitimately been drunk since I was like 20 years old. Like, so, but I started experimenting with it a little bit here and there for taste, and like, oh, I'd like to have a little Bailey's in my coffee, just something, whatever. Like, it's been very slow, but recently, because of the place that I'm in, I'm finding that I'm experimenting a little more, and that I'm enjoying it in a way that isn't the healthiest, because it's not necessarily as much, like, I mean, some people say, like, drink socially, and it's like, hey, I can have a drink and, like, hang out at the studio, for example, and just enjoy a little bit of the old Blarneys or something, some, like, Irish cream type liqueur in my hot chocolate or coffee, and, you know, it gives me a little something, and that's where it ends, and it's fine. But lately I've been feeling this pull to drink more. So anyway, I don't remember why I started saying that, but it's just, again, there's things that I'm finding like I regress to. So yes, I try to be transparent, but I'm not, you know, the Truman Show or whatever. Like, there's not a camera on me 24/7. I don't document every little thing I do. I give you what I choose to give you, and I'm not out there doing, like, heinous acts that I'm covering up, but I also just don't say everything. I don't say everything good either. I don't say everything good. I don't say everything bad. Like, I try to give a balanced perspective, but obviously I have editorial and final director's cut, like whatever, right? Like I have the final say as to what I'm going to put up. Except there are times where other people get in the way, and this alludes to something that I've talked about in the past 5 months, is that for a long time, my art was being restricted because there was... I see, that's the thing. It's like I still don't want to get into the specifics, and I'm not going to name names and whatever else. And for some people, it'll be obvious, and for others, most people, they'll be oblivious to it. But there would have been. I had to be careful with what I said because I knew it was already getting twisted, misconstrued, and people were using that information for their own nefarious purposes. And then I felt a relief when that wasn't a thing anymore. I don't like why it wasn't a concern anymore. I would have rather have dealt with that concern and like censored myself more than I would have liked to still be in that situation. But now I'm not in that situation, and if there's any upside to it at all, I mean, there's lots, but like it's not what I wanted. But the upside was that I don't have to censor my artwork anymore. The way that I write, the things that I say, the vlog, etc. Except now I'm in a position again where that's being threatened, and it feels like I do have to censor myself, and I'm being harassed and bullied over nothing, and it's because of my art, and it's just like I don't want to submit to that. I don't want to enable that kind of behavior for someone to have control over me and my expressions. There's obviously lines to that. Like if my expressions were threatening and dangerous and whatever, like there's lines, obviously. But I know my intention, and I know my heart, and I know the purpose and function of my art and what I was expressing and why. So there's things that I said I was going to get back to. So this is all going to end in this thing. So like there was somebody that was telling me again, they're like, oh, like I enjoy, you know, hearing these things or watching these things or just like knowing about your process and stuff. And I was saying, yeah, it's a balance, you know, like it's a balance of I want to be real, I want to be respectful of other people's privacy, and I want to not be cringy. And trying to like balance all that is really difficult because before having the shift of being way more vulnerable in my expressions this past year especially, the cringe part wasn't as much of a factor. But this past year, or a little over that, it has been. Because, like, man, the amount that I share, the way that I share it, it's way less filtered and much more raw. Sometimes it ends up being more cryptic, and sometimes it ends up being more specific and detailed. And just, like, I'm just going to do it. I do it. And there's a reason why that's been happening the past year or so. But that was the thing. I was like, there's three things. Basically, they're the pillars of that I'm trying to like balance this on of like how I express things. And a couple of years back, I related. So I mean, I got Camp like shortly after it came out, like Childish Gambino's album Camp, and I believe it's the last track on there is called That Power, and more than half of the song, like the last half of the song or last 65% or 70% of it or whatever, is like this monologue that he's saying. And the short version is that at some point he comes to this close to the very end of that, where he says that, you know, he told this person something, and then they went around and told everybody else. So he decided to cut out the middleman and just say everything for everybody all the time. No one can go and turn around and say it because everyone already knows. And, like, it didn't really hit me that way when I heard it the first, I don't know how many times, because that was years ago that I first heard it and got into that album. Like, it's been like what has it been? I don't think it's been no, it hasn't been a decade, but it's been a long, like, I don't know, 8-7 years or something, whatever. And I really... At some point in the past, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, something clicked when I heard that, and it kind of made sense. Maybe it was only 3 years ago, actually. 2 to 3 years ago, I think, is when it, like, I think I remember it clicked when I was living in a basement suite that I remember. So anyway, and I think, like, that really changed a lot of my perspective on expressing myself and sharing my artistic process, and also just me and my feelings and whatever. and it's really hard to separate myself from the artist. Like, so that, I mean, you can check out that track, That Power. It's amazing. It's really great, and you can listen to that whole monologue, whatever. But that had this shift with me that was like about being more transparent, right? And especially because that was around the time I started doing the vlog. So it kind of like all kind of came together there. And that just relates to this whole thing, because like I want to do that. I want that to be out there or whatever. This past year, it's been harder to balance these being real, respecting privacy, but more like the thing that's really difficult is not being cringe. Like being honest and being vulnerable without being cringy is like a hard balance for me, because like I don't care enough. I value the honesty and vulnerability and rawness more than I value not being cringe. But I know that I don't want to be super cringy, but I do want to have all those other things and be honest and genuine and whatever as much as I can be. And the reason why it's been so exacerbated this past year or so is because of the amount of sad I've been feeling. So the amount of sad, I'm not going to go into detail as to all the reasons why that sad has happened, but it's not random. I don't just get low for no reason. I don't have clinical depression. It's not seasonal. Like, there's my environment, like, directly affected where I ended up. And I was in deep sadness, and I've talked many times on here and in my writings and in conversations that I don't sit in sadness well, and trying to... oh no. Trying to cope with that sadness, part of what happened was I returned to writing much more than visual art. I don't know how to make visual art when I'm sad. It's really difficult. I have lately a couple times through the form of portraits and trying to work through some stuff in a positive way and purge things and also find some forgiveness and healthy ways to express these things. But sitting in sadness is really difficult for me. I found that expressing myself through writing became part of that process of coping with the sadness in a more positive way. And along with, but that's the thing, is like that writing, or if it's like me saying something in a story or like whatever, it's just like, I just like, part of it is the amount of anxiety I feel. Part of why I express myself so much in the first place is because I don't want to feel as alone. I'm not going to necessarily like reach out to someone and be like, hey, I need help right now, or I need to talk right now. Like, it's really rare that I do that. But if I just like put out just a picture with something that I'm feeling, I feel like it's there and I exist in this other digital realm, and people might connect with that. And even if they don't tell me anything, I just feel less alone by just putting it out there. And that's something that I need to balance as well, because I found that it became too much, it became too unhealthy. And I've tried to balance that in the past like 3 weeks or so. And anyway, that's where all this is at, and I wanted to address that, and I wanted to talk about it without it being like a separate thing. It's very relevant to just, I don't want it to be a separate conversation. It could have been, I guess, but here it is now, and with that, we'll see you on another time.